Hey y'all, my name is Coach Soltis. I teach world history here at A&M Consolidated High School. Behind the camera is Mr. Gades. He teaches the audio, video productions, and photography class here at Consolidated High School. What we decided to try and do this year was create a cross-curricular project that's never been tried before. I took my world history class that I teach, and he took his AVP 2 and 3 classes that he teach, and we kind of forced them into this weird, awkward project. They didn't know each other, they'd never met. But we said, hey, we're talking about and we're discussing World War I, the causes of World War I, major topics of World War I, Treaty of Versailles, all that stuff in my world history class. What happens if we turn it into film? So over the past 2 or 3 weeks, our kids have been getting together and filming on their own time, their own ideas, their own production, their own talents. So what you're about to see is about 8 or 9 different segments of these high school teenage kids coming together and creating short films. We hope you enjoy it.
What is it like being a soldier in World War I?
It was pretty tough, man. I almost had like foot disease. I saw a lot of comrades die. And I cried a lot in my bunker. The trenches were tough, real trenches. Define what militarism is.
Militarism is the belief or desire of a government or people that a country should maintain a strong military capacity and be prepared to aggressively defend whatever they need.
What caused militarism?
The naval rivalry, the wars between Great Britain and Germany.
When did militarism start?
The late 1800s, early 1900s.
Where did it start?
Northern Germany, Kingdom of Prussia.
There's a lot of bloodshed and everybody was dying, and I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, I miss my family and it's just a 0 out of 10.
Alliances, specifically secret alliances, are what caused everything in World War I to quickly spiral down into future conflicts that we know of today.
I'm Germany and I'm allied with Austria-Hungary and Bulgaria.
I'm Great Britain and I'm allied with France and Russia.
I'm Russia. I'm allied with Great Britain and France, as well as informally allied with Serbia.
These world powers were what mainly fueled the World War, with Austria-Hungary being the main instigator of the war due to starting war with Russia because Russia was trying to stop them from making an attempt of humiliating Serbia by attacking them. Germany ties into this because since they were allied with Austria-Hungary, they had to formally request Russia to halt mobilization into Austria-Hungary. Germany also asked France to stay neutral in the conflict. Both of these requests were ignored. Germany moved in to declare war against Russia and France.
I despise Germany and Austria-Hungary. All they've done is try to create problems by starting unnecessary conflict, which in turn created an even more unnecessary war.
Russia never told anyone about their alliance with Serbia. It's their fault for no communication between nations.
And this conflict is what brings Great Britain into the picture. You see, Germany was mobilizing its troops and decided to demand free passage through Belgium. This act was considered as spitting in Great Britain's face. This made Great Britain declare war on Germany shortly after.
I think before we can explore how imperialism affected the countries in World War I, we have to analyze how it affected the world in the late 18th century. Imperialism in its early stage was a way for European powers to create more markets for their industrialized goods. Thus began the scramble for Africa. England, France, Spain, Russia, and several other countries were all on the rush to gain Africa's resources and markets. With this surge of imperialistic ideals came an influx of propaganda for and against imperialism. This trend continued well into World War I. Imperialism was responsible for reforming the alliances between these countries. Imperialistic expansion played a major role in growing tensions between Germany and Great Britain during the turn of the century. The growing imperialistic rivalry was responsible for the slow formation of anti-German alliance systems in Europe. This in turn led to the last sentence.
Nationalism became prominent in Europe in the 1848 crisis.
The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand happened because of nationalism. The Serbian nationalists were mad about the annexation by the Austria-Hungary Empire, so they assassinated Ferdinand, and that is what ultimately sparked the start of World War I.
So nationalism was a very key factor in how World War I started. And back then, there was no real draft or anything like there was in World War II. And basically how you joined was just by signing up, and you basically just sign your death wish to war.
Most nationalistic countries were Europe, France, Italy, and Germany.
And during the war, lots of times soldiers and people that were part of the army would make posters and frown upon the people that didn't join the army because it was so important to serve your country back then that if you didn't, you just didn't look like a very good person.
Franz Ferdinand was born on December 18, 1863. He was the next heir to the throne. His assassination was the most immediate cause of World War I.
The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand wasn't exactly so quick and breezy. It was a little longer than expected. I mean, I was there. I experienced it firsthand.
Sir, you know why I pulled you over? No, we're gonna do it by. I don't very much like the tone of your voice. I didn't know I was gonna cause a world war. I mean, yeah, I did shoot a man and his wife twice. But that's besides the point. There's 2,000 plus people out there searching for me right now.
The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was the leading cause of World War I.
The assassination led to various things, such as World War I, but World War I started for various other reasons that weren't as great as the assassination. And there's one fact that we can say, that World War I was caused over various stupid reasons, like America not joining until the very end.
Hello! Today we'll be talking about the trenches of World War I. Such structures were a necessary advancement in war tactics, mostly to protect the soldiers from enemy fire.
The reason they had to do this was because of the new development of machine guns. They could fire 100 rounds a minute and were incredibly dangerous when trying to cross no man's land, which was the space between the two trenches. Even peeking over the edge just a little bit would cause some death.
The trenches were dug roughly 6 feet deep and stretched for miles across the French countryside. Several soldiers added other materials such as sandbags to the edges to make them taller, for better protection, of course.
On another note, multiple gases were used, such as bromine gas, chlorine gas, mustard gas, and phosgen. Phosgen and bromine both had agents in them which caused trouble breathing. Chlorine caused irritation in the eyes, and mustard gas caused blisters and burns along the skin. That, the advanced weaponry, and the construction of the trenches caused the high death tolls that were happening.
Yes, the trenches in World War I were absolutely terribly constructed. All the upturned and loose soil meant that there were puddles of mud that could get up to waist deep. That and they were harbingers for disease, honestly.
Germany was defeated on June 19, 1919, bringing an end to World War I. A peace conference was held in France to give Germany new boundaries. Italy, France, and the U.S. were invited to the treaty, but Germany, Austria-Hungary, Turkey, and Bulgaria were not invited because they didn't want to give them a chance to talk. However, Germany felt humiliated by this. Germany got screwed by the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles set the stage for the Second World War by embarrassing Germany. They would seek revenge in 20 years.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rob Boss. Welcome to another live episode of The Joys of Painting. Now, today we're going to talk about a super special topic. I like to call it my dear friend, Lusitania. So if you look over here at the canvas, you'll see I've already got it covered in liquid white, just absolutely basted. Now, next time, what we're going to see at the bottom of the screen is that the different colors that we're going to use today are going to be at the bottom of the screen. So let's go ahead and go back to the painting. We've got it with our liquid white. It'll blend everything so well. I'm going to start off with a little bit of dried up bottom of the ocean blue just on the tip of my brush. And we're going to paint some big rolling waves just like this. You know, I've been on the ocean a time or two, and it can get pretty rough, just like life. So like our Hawaiian brothers and sisters say, cowabunga, dude, and just roll with it. Once you get the waves nice and dark and clear, just like you want, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna beat the devil out of our brush and then put it aside for later. Next, we're gonna get to the middle part of our actual painting. Today I told you we're gonna paint a picture about a boat called the Lusitania. We're gonna get a lot of blow me up black on the edge of our paintbrush, and we're just gonna make a big swath just like this. We wanna make sure that the Lusitania is nice and big because it was a passenger ship coming over from the Brits, those people who drink hot tea, like my grandma. You know, I found a British man one time. He had a really weird name. It was like Charles or something. You know what he told me? Life's what you make it. So let's make it rock. Let's go back to the painting. So the cool thing about the Lusitania is that it was a passenger ship in 1915, right in the middle of World War I. But in all reality, it wasn't actually a passenger ship. It had passengers with bombs. Shh, don't tell the Germans. So what happens is the Germans find out and they decide we've got to do something about this. Now we're going to put aside our black brush for now and move on to a little bit of red. The Lusitania had big old smokestacks. You know, every now in life, every now and again, we get a little bit of smoky, dark, hazy situations. But you just got to keep holding on, because sometimes you'll make it through and sometimes you won't. So we got the smokestacks, but the main color we're looking at today is actually our yellow. So I'm going to switch over to my submarine yellow, because the crazy thing about this ship right here, the Lusitania, was it never made it to Great Britain. The Germans blew it up because it was carrying the bomb. So we're going to get our yellow, our submarine yellow, and make big explosions right here, just like the Germans did to all those poor, poor passengers that died that day. Now we're going to give this painting a little bit of time to dry, and we'll see you after this short break. Thanks for tuning in today, ladies and gentlemen.
In 1917, in World War I, Germany sent a message to communicate with Mexico. They called it the Zimmermann Telegram. Please consider the following. This is our Zimmermann Telegram of science. On this side we have Germany, and on this side we have Mexico. In 1917, during World War I, Germany would send encoded messages to Mexico with updates of what was going on in the war in case the United States got involved. So what happens when Great Britain cracks the code? They get a tap on the Zimmermann Telegram that lets them know exactly what's going on, and they send those updates to the United States. So what happens when you wake a sleeping giant? This has been consider the following.
Welcome back on set. Sorry for that brief intermission. I had to run to the little boys' restroom and fix my mustache. But during that time, we were able to let our painting dry. So if we look over here, we can see the beautiful blacks and luscious blues and the wonderful bright yellows and reds that you joined in painting with us from home of the day that the Lusitania sunk in 1915. But now that it's all done, it's in the past and those people's headstones have been raised. It's a happy painting. A happy painting. We want happy paintings. If you want sad paintings, just watch the news. Our painting's done. It's beautiful. I'm glad that you shared this time with me. My name's Rob Boss, signing off for the joys of painting.